try to be useful. Do things that are useful to your fellow human beings, to the world. It's very hard to be useful. Very hard. Are you contributing more than you consume? Try to have a positive net contribution to society. I think that's the thing to aim for. Not to try to be sort of a leader for the sake of being a leader or whatever. A lot of the time, the people you want as leaders are the people who don't want to be leaders. If you can live a useful life, that is a good life, a life worth having lived. Use the mental tools of physics and apply them broadly in life. They are the best tools.
It's also helpful because anything to do with software is a low capital endeavor. So I didn't have any money. I just had a bunch of student debt. But software you can just write, like by yourself. And you don't need a lot of atoms, like you don't need a lot of tooling and equipment, and so it's not capital intensive. So the ability to start a company, if it's software related, and it's the first company, is much, much easier. But I do think that one great thing about Silicon Valley is failure is not a big stigma. So it's like if you try hard and it doesn't work out, that's okay. Like you can learn from that and do another company, and it's not a big deal. And I think that's really one of the great things about Silicon Valley. Company, you've got to focus your energies on a particular area. Something that Steve Jobs was that I think was quite admirable was he was ultra product focused, like down to the little detail. He and the other people at Apple would really try hard to have these, both at a high level and a small level, these delightful things happen. So the product was just made you happy. What we aspire to do is to make the car so compelling that even with low gasoline prices, it's still the car you want to buy.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of that's the only sort of advice I'd give to people starting companies, to entrepreneurs in general, is really focus on making a product that your customers love.
Yeah.
It's so rare that you can buy a product and you love the product when you bought it. There are very few things that fit into that category. And if you can come up with something like that, your business will be successful for sure. As long as people stay super focused on creating the absolute best product or service that really delights their end customer, if they stay focused on that, then if you get it such that your customers want you to succeed, then you probably will. Make sure if your customers love you, your odds of success are dramatically higher.
Yeah.
I think really an obsessive nature with respect to the quality of the product is very important. So being obsessive compulsive is a good thing in this context. I'd say focus on signal over noise. A lot of companies get confused. They spend money on things that don't actually make the product better. So, for example, at Tesla, we've never spent any money on advertising. We put all of the money into R&D and manufacturing and design to try to make the car as good as possible. I think that's the way to go. So, are these efforts that people are expending, are they resulting in a better product or service? And if they're not, stop those efforts. I think a lot of people think I must spend a lot of time with media or on businessy things, but actually almost all my time, like 80% of it is spent on engineering and design. So it's developing next generation product.
But I encourage people to read a lot of books. Just read, basically try to ingest as much information as you can, and try to also just develop a good general knowledge, a rough lay of the land of the knowledge landscape. Try to learn a little bit about a lot of things, because you might not know what you're really interested in. How would you know what you're really interested in if you at least aren't doing a peripheral exploration of broadly of and talk to people from different walks of life and different industries and professions and skills and occupations. Just try, man's search for meaning.
First of all, I really need to give some thought to how can I provide advice that would be most helpful, and I'm not sure I've given enough thought to that to give you the best possible answer. But I think certainly being focused on something that you're confident will have high value to someone else
and just being really rigorous in making that assessment, because people tend to, a natural human tendency is wishful thinking. So a challenge for entrepreneurs is to say, well, what's the difference between really believing in your ideals and sticking to them versus pursuing some unrealistic dream that doesn't actually have merit? And that is a really difficult thing to tell. Can you tell the difference between those two things?
Right.
You know? So you need to be sort of very rigorous in your self-analysis. I think certainly extremely tenacious, and then just work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in, 80 to 100-hour weeks every week. But just generally, like I said, I would encourage people to read broadly in many different subject areas, and then try to find something where there's an overlap of your talents and what you're interested in. So people may be good at something, or they may have skill at a particular thing, but they don't like doing it. So you want to try to find a thing where that's a good combination of the things that you're inherently good at, but you also like doing. Well, you got to learn about things somehow. So reading, so that was pretty helpful. And there are all sorts of things I didn't even know existed. Well, lots, obviously. Maybe read through the condensed version of the Encyclopedia Britannica. I'd recommend that. You can always skip subjects where you read a few paragraphs and you know you're not interested, just jump to the next one. So read the encyclopedia or skim through it. But I put a lot of stock and certainly have a lot of respect for someone who puts in an honest day's work.